Welcome to another episode of Drunk Guys on Chick Flicks, the podcast that sweats while it eats and cries when it runs. We both do that. We both do that. You know as well as I do that you cry when you run and I sweat while I eat, and vice versa.
I thought it was both of us.
I said and vice versa.
It's way too accurate.
It's just sad. It makes me feel sad about me and sad about you.
You know how like truth is like the source of like a lot of humor?
Yeah,
right?
sure. Not this time.
This is like this is too close to home.
Ow.
Ouch.
Ow.
Fuck.
I'm your host, Matt, and with me as always is your co-host, Garrett.
I'm Garrett.
He's Garrett.
I'm Garrett.
Garrett, what are we watching this week?
We're going to watch Pretty in Pink because it's episode 15.
Yeah.
And it feels like a big one.
And Garrett seems to think that that's a milestone.
Listen, dude, when you've got 14 in the bag, 15's a fucking milestone. Okay. So here we are.
So when we have 15 in the bag, is 16 going to be a milestone?
No, I'm going like 5s and 10s, I think, are like big deals. So like 20 will feel big, and then 25 will be, big deal. Real big. Yeah, so we'll go from there. But Pretty in Pink, what are we drinking this week, Matt?
So a brewery on Long Island called Great South Bay Brewery put out a beer called Pretty in Pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Struggling?
Yeah, a little bit, huh?
Yeah, so October, which we're in.
Which is this week, and next week, and next week, and the week before.
And then also like
right, and then again,
week.
Anyway. Yeah. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Right, so they put out this Breast Cancer Awareness beer, which is fucking awesome. It sounds awesome.
I'm pretty stoked about this.
It's a New England IPA with pink guava.
Yeah.
Is that why it's pink? Yeah, so it's fucking, it sounds really, really good. We're both really excited to drink this beer. It's for a good cause, and it's like very on the nose.
It's not like even on the nose. It's just the title of the movie, and that's just kismet, huh? We were thinking about doing this anyway.
Too much on the nose? Too much, would you say? Is it too much, though?
I don't know what's happening.
All right, so we're watching Pretty in Pink. What year did Pretty in Pink come out?
Pretty in Pink came out in 1986.
I was not alive.
I was alive.
Just barely.
I was just barely alive.
Wow.
I was.
So this is is this like a Brat Pack movie?
Yes, I think it's considered a Brat Pack movie. It's directed by Howard Deutsch, it's his actual his directorial debut.
Ooh, the Deutsch.
He also directed a bunch of kind of random movies after this, though. So he did Some Kind of Wonderful and The Great Outdoors. And then
I love The Great Outdoors.
I've actually never seen it.
It's an amazing John Candy movie, and I was weirdly raised on it.
You're weirdly raised on television is what I'm learning about.
Yeah, that's true.
But also so this is what kind of got me. He directed in 1995 The Odd Couple 2, starring Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. Not the first one, just the second one.
Leading with a sequel.
Right. And then in 1998 he directed Grumpier Old Men. Not Grumpy Old Men, Grumpier Old Men, which is also a sequel, which is also starring Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau.
So he's like the guy that, like, there's like that the stigma that there's very few sequels that are
sophomore slump.
As good or better than the first, right?
The sophomore slump.
So he's like the sophomore slump director.
Yeah, I mean, he also directed The Whole 10 Yards, not The Whole 9 Yards, with Matthew Perry. And
wait, is that real?
Yeah.
So he's at least 3 times just directed sequels?
Yes. He also directed The Replacements. Isn't that
2? The Replacements 2.
Replacements 2, Replaced Again.
Dude, that's hysterical.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
I didn't realize that was like a thing. Like, I don't know, can't afford the first director again. Source material is not quite as good. I know who to call.
Let's get Howard Deutsch.
That's crazy.
Howie Deutsch.
I didn't hate The Replacements.
I actually like it a lot. I think it's a pretty fun movie. Keanu's great in it.
It's really good.
Fucking Favreau's in that movie.
True. You know what? Honestly, he's in my good graces already from Replacements and Great Outdoors. Honestly, that's all I'll take. I mean, Grumpy-Year-Old Men, I'm sure I saw. If
it isn't clear yet, neither of us have seen this movie before.
Yeah, but neither of us has ever seen Pretty in Pink.
Seems like a disgrace. People are pretty mad about it.
I feel like it's like rife with like 80s references that we probably know the references but don't know what they're from.
I probably know this entire movie by heart and have never seen it before just because it's been in like The Simpsons and Family Guy. Yeah, all that. Right.
Ooh, is that not this? Is that not this?
No, that's Breakfast Club, which was written by the writer of this movie.
Who is
the world famous John Hughes, who's like responsible just for like any good fucking movie in the 80s and 90s.
Give me some examples.
Okay, The Breakfast Club, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Home Alone.
Another John Candy movie.
Yeah, Home Alone, also John Candy movie. Weird Science, Ferris Bueller, 16 Candles, just way too many to list. Like, just a really great writer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Weird. Do you think Weird Science is a good movie?
Again, I've never seen. I've seen Breakfast Club and none of the other Brat Pack movies.
Really?
None of the other ones.
16 Candles, I think I have seen.
I've never seen it.
I think. But Weird Science. Do you know the premise of Weird Science?
They bring
a Barbie to life.
Barbie to life. Yeah.
And then it's like,
and they're wearing bras on their heads, right? When they're doing it.
That you know?
Again, it's from like The Simpsons
that
and
you're
shit.
aware of? Yeah, Weird Science is fucking weird. All right, so this is like iconic in terms of him writing it, and we know this is kind of an iconic movie, which is why it's number 15, which everyone knows 15 is a very important number.
Clearly. The movie stars Molly Ringwald. Excuse me.
You're disgusting. You're disgusting.
You're a disgust. Harry Dean Stanton, John Cryer, Annie Potts, and James Spader. The Spades.
I actually really like James Spader.
I like James Spader a lot too, but this is like pre-hat James Spader. This is like, this guy's probably got some hair. He's probably got some like hair drapes.
He was in Stargate in 1995. That
no one cares.
Perennial sci-fi classic. Shut up.
Tell me more. Tell me more about the Gate
up.
to the Stars.
Annie Potts too.
Ghostbusters.
Love it. Yeah, Ghostbusters.
Great. Yeah, so that was the main cast of the movie.
All right, is there bet? So
is there bet?
So we don't really like know enough about this movie, even like peripherally, to have an idea of what we want to do bet wise. So
I
had
we
two
had
ideas.
we had a really good one, and then when I was writing the trivia, I fucked that all up.
the question was going to be, who does she end up with? Because like we at least know enough that there are two possible choices.
Of the movie
right?
is basically like, poor girl falls in love with her, or like has to decide between her childhood crush and a rich boy,
dreamy playboy.
Yeah,
like.
So we were like, oh shit, it could be either one.
And then Matt read 3 lines into the trivia and found the answer to
thing.
that. So fuck me sideways. Here we go. I'm gonna say the bet should be, what year of high school are they? Because it's a high school movie, right? Like it's like definitely high school. We're positive it's a high school movie.
Positive it's a high school movie.
Okay, so what year of high school are they? I think is a decent bet. Having no basis, no knowledge, no idea whatsoever about this movie. I'm pretty sure the drinking age was 18 at this point. So if there's alcohol, like, hey, whatever. But what you won? No, I won the bet last week. Right. So you go.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, I feel like it's too easy to be senior year. I'm gonna say junior year.
Why did you make a fart noise before you said it?
I was thinking. That's the sound I make when I think. I was thinking really hard just then. Did you hear?
You're an animal.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, I don't think it could be sophomore. So I'm kind of relegated to senior, but I'll take senior. I think that's legit. What happens
if we're both wrong?
If we're both wrong, it'll be a Twitter poll.
Okay.
And the 3 people that respond to that Twitter poll will decide what the next movie is.
Can I respond to the Twitter poll?
You're gonna have to make a Twitter account. That isn't the Drunk Guys on Chick-Flicks Twitter account.
I have a Twitter account.
Do you?
Yes.
Do you follow Drunk Guys on Chick-Flicks?
I don't think I do.
You fucking yeah.
I may. I'll have to look. Anyway,
we just cut back in. A fist fight was had off mic.
Garrett hit me real hard.
All right, so that's the bet. Like I'm saying senior year, you're saying junior year. If it's neither, fuck me. But it'll be a Twitter poll or audience suggestion or whatever from there.
Maybe we'll finally get a guest on here. We'll let them decide. We don't know. Who knows?
Like because I feel like there's a shitload of trivia for this movie.
I really didn't write down that much. I kind of pared it down pretty hard.
Anything that's like more interesting than like Lost in its heyday.
Are you asking me if there's any piece of trivia that's more interesting than the entirety of Lost in its heyday?
Yeah.
No. There's none.
Well, all right. I guess that's it for the intro. And
I hate you so
also, like, high praise for Lost in its heyday from you.
I don't know. The first 2 seasons are really good.
That would be the heyday.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
and then after that, it's just all downhill. Too many questions, no answers.
Yeah, it's true.
Just like everything in my life.
Why?
This movie was filmed at the same high school that Grease was filmed, so look out for that, I guess.
Oh, it was filmed at Rydale High?
Oh, wow. Good pull, man. Appreciate. Is Grease?
I've seen Grease too much.
Oh, I've seen Grease a lot.
I don't
Grease
know.
might be a chick flick.
I think Grease existed before chick flicks were like a genre.
I think it can be retroactively added. Anyway, apparently this is Molly Ringwald's favorite movie out of all the ones that she's made.
Okay.
Anthony Michael Hall turned down the role of Ducky because he didn't want to be typecast and thought that this was kind of a rehash of 16 Candles.
Okay. Anthony Michael Hall is the blonde guy from Breakfast Club, right? Right?
There's two blonde guys in Breakfast Club.
Well,
there's Emilio.
Yeah, but he's like the dorky blonde guy, right?
Yeah, he's the one who's like writing the letter.
I don't remember him from 16 Candles.
Yeah, he brought a gun to school or something. Not in 16 Candles, in the Breakfast Club.
In the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, that's why he got detention, which is lunacy. Charlie Sheen auditioned for Blaine.
I don't know who the fuck Blaine is.
Blaine is the rich guy.
Oh,
he's the rich guy.
Okay.
Jodie Foster turned down Andy, which is Molly Ringwald's part.
Right.
Justine Bateman turned down Andy.
Would have loved Justine Bateman.
Yeah, I would too. But like, also, I don't feel like she was big enough to be turning down roles at this point.
Well, Jodie Foster was pretty big.
No, I'm not saying her. I'm saying Bateman.
Way different movies with both of them too, though.
Sure. Robert Downey Jr. was almost Ducky, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Too dreamy. John Cryer's just annoying enough, I think.
This is how the end of this movie came to be. So apparently, in the original novel the novelization of this movie, which came out or was finished being written as the movie was being filmed, the original ending was that she ends up with Ducky, which is why we can't do this.
Why that can't be
the bet, right? But in the movie, she ends up ending up with Blaine. Did I say Blaine?
Rich guy,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Ends up with rich guy. And Molly Ringwald said that if Robert Downey Jr. had been cast as Ducky, they would have went with the original ending.
That's a start. Yeah, I mean, he's more handsome.
Right.
He's like a little more
basically, she was like, when John Cryer was cast as Ducky, she was like, yeah, I don't see it.
I actually don't like John Cryer, man.
Listen, man.
2.5 Men's like the worst.
Superman
and always
4.
has been. Superman 4. Oh, that's great ref.
Yeah.
Great ref.
Straight Cryer.
Oh,
come on.
God. Yeah, no, I would have gone with Downey. But hey, who is Blaine? Who's Blaine actually played by?
His name is Andrew McCarthy.
Oh, okay. Andrew McCarthy is a heartthrob.
Is he?
Andrew McCarthy's from Mannequin, right? Yeah, he is. He's from Mannequin, and he's also from Weekend at Bernie's.
He's totally from Weekend at Bernie's.
1 and 2.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's in both of them. Because,
right.
How do you turn down 2?
That's the fuck, Andrew McCarthy. Okay,
I don't know why I missed him on my
so
list.
I know more people in this movie than I thought I did. All right, so.
Well, I mean, you've also got the Dice Man.
Yeah, Andrew Dice Clay plays, I think, a bouncer or something in this, like a club bouncer.
I actually believe he's credited as bouncer.
Nice. All right, can't wait to see Andrew Dice Clay.
Woo! And Gina Gershon's on this, too.
Oh, interesting.
Just a couple of randoms.
Probably like pretty young. I don't think she's like particularly old, right?
You don't really know.
I feel like they're all, I think Molly Ringwald's 18 in this movie.
Okay.
17, 18 when this movie's shot. So it's like, I think they actually use like, now, like when they shoot high school movies,
they're all 35.
Like, everyone's 35. Yeah. Like, I think this was actually like, they're like, all right,
they probably
find someone believable. Okay, great.
Okay.
All right. So we got our beer, we got our bet, we got our trivia. I think we're set. So if we're going to watch the movie, if you haven't seen Pretty in Pink, or if you'd like to watch it, pause us here. And as always, we're sorry for whatever happens next.
And we'll see you on the other side.
And we're back.
And we're back. And we're back.
All right, so I may have won the drinking contest of this episode.
He certainly did.
I feel like an episode, maybe it was this episode, last episode or 2 episodes ago, where you were a little bombed and I was a little bit sober.
I think it was about 3 episodes ago.
It's gonna be the reverse now.
Yeah, you're having a hard time, huh?
I'm not having a hard time. I'm having a great time.
I'm having a great time. A great time.
So we just finished watching Pretty in Pink. I didn't hate it. First, broad strokes. How'd you feel?
I didn't love it. I feel like it's overrated a little. Everyone's like, oh wow, yeah, that's a classic. I mean, I get that it is, and like maybe 80s movies are a little simpler than movies these days, but like it was okay.
I would say that I liked it. It didn't blow me away by any means. I liked it. With regard to what you said about just like 80s movies being simpler,
sure.
I think they're way more direct. I think a lot of 80 movies are way more direct. Like this is like,
I'm not saying simpler in a bad way necessarily.
No, but I'm kind of trying to refine that. Like I think there was no
nuance. nuance.
There really was no nuance or
No.
like no subtlety to this movie. It was like, these are the facts. You decide.
Right. Kind
Like-
of. I'm not going to say it probably didn't crack my top half.
All right, we'll get to that.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I'm thinking out loud. I'm sorry.
So can we do the beer first? The Great South Bay Pretty in Pink, Pink Guava New England Pale Ale.
New England IPA.
New England IPA, I'm sorry.
It was very good. It wasn't what I expected it to be, but it was still very good.
It was really good. It was a little bit fruity, but not super
I
fruity.
actually did. I'm disagreeing with you there. I actually thought it wasn't fruity enough for me. Like I expected it to be more.
You were
fruit
thinking
heavy.
it was going to be sweet.
A little bit sweeter. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it a lot. It was super
it was
drinkable.
very super drinkable and it was super smooth.
I
What was
could've-
it 6.7% or something?
Yeah, so it was like boozy enough.
Yeah, boozy enough. It got you there.
I coulda
It
had-
definitely got you there.
I could have had 6 more of these. Like it was a really.
And I'm
really
glad you didn't. Haha. No, I'm just kidding. You were fine.
If there were more of them, Matt, then perhaps I would have partaken.
Partooken?
Partoked.
Partooked.
But really, really, really good beer. Super appropriate for the movie.
Yeah, I really liked it.
obviously would totally drink again. Would totally recommend. Do you want to do 3 sentences?
Yeah, you go first.
What you go first? That's
I
the move.
always go first. You're gonna go first this time.
But I generally do better because
you
you go
just-
first,
can
and
you-
then I
Can you just?
improve upon
Hey Garrett,
yours.
can you just?
Okay.
Thanks.
Molly Ringwald.
Let's plow.
Molly. Oh God. Fuck you. All right. Ducky says "let's plow" like several times in this movie, and me and Matt kept thinking like, is he saying like, is that a dirty thing? Is he saying let's like go?
Is he trying to fuck this girl?
Let's
right now?
smush. Let's go smush.
Let's go smush right now. Oh, is he trying to smush? Do people still say smush?
But every time he said
showing
"let's
her age.
plow," it meant like let's go.
Yeah, I think it was like let's move on.
Like let's go ahead.
Yeah,
Let's go on ahead then.
Let's plow forward.
What a ridiculous thing that
Let's
he kept,
plow.
And he says it so many times. And Matt and I like pause,
Every time we just looked at each other
slow
like,
head turn to each other, eye contact, and then mouth. Maybe not. Anyway,
what does he mean?
3 sentences or less. Okay. Molly Ringwald is in high school, and her childhood sweetheart, Ducky, played by
John Cryer,
is like clearly her best friend, period. She's from a poor family because her dad doesn't really have a job, and there's a clear division in her high school versus like rich kids and non-rich kids. Period.
Richies.
They call them Richies, sure.
And
Andrew
and
McCo-
porpors.
This is number 3. Relax.
Just said and porpors.
And they don't call them porpors.
I'm calling them porpors.
They don't call them porpors.
Richies and porpors.
God, this is going to be such a bad one. Okay, so those are 2 sentences. Okay. Last one. Andrew McCarthy who is wealthy, starts to court her, and she is stuck deciding whether or not she wants to go for Andrew McCarthy or whether or not she is romantically interested in her childhood friend Ducky. Period. That's like really the whole plot.
Okay.
All right, you go. 3 sentences. Go.
Okay, fine.
3 sentences.
I have all right, relax. All right.
3. You get 3. You get 3.
Molly Ringwald's from a poor family.
1.
I'm not done. You son of a bitch. Molly Ringwald's from a poor family, and
1.
I will fucking kill you. If this is how this podcast is going to go, I will stop it now. I will turn this car around.
Sorry, Dad.
Fucking hate you. Molly Ringwald is from a poor family who finds herself on the receiving end of admiration from a... Are you okay? Do we need to cut?
This is the funniest.
Molly Ringwald is a high school student who finds herself on the receiving end of admiration from a upper class. She's a poor high school student who finds herself on the receiving end of admiration from an upper class high school student. Period. 1.
Okay.
She is constantly pursued by her childhood friend, because I will not say romantic, parentheses, I will not say romantic interest, friend Ducky, period. Molly Ringwald deals with the pressures of dating in different classes and how to navigate the stresses of high school life in that to which period.
Do you feel okay with that?
I don't feel okay with the ending of the last sentence, but okay. I feel like mine was better than yours, and here's why. Because you said she had to determine whether she would go for Ducky or she would go for Blake. And let me tell you, at no point during this movie was there ever a thought in my head where I thought she was going to be like, you know what? Ducky's the one for me.
Well, that makes the trivia even crazier that if it was Robert Downey Jr., she might have gone for Ducky. Well, and I felt like several times throughout this movie, we looked at each other and like, if this was Robert Downey...
RDJ?
Yes.
Like, sure.
Go for him, yes.
Yeah, of course.
Especially at the end, like, there are a couple of moments... So, let's kind of go back. Like, Ducky sucks. I wrote Ducky sucks like 6 or 7 times throughout my notes.
I really hated him. Every time he came onto the screen, I cringed.
So, John Cryer's her, like, childhood friend... And it never really establishes that there's even a hint of romantic chemistry between the two of them.
There's not. There's constant every time he like tries to like impress her, she rolls her eyes or like it's really off-putting actually.
The only indication that we have that she like is on the same wavelength as him is that both of their fashion senses are 80s wacky.
And by 80s wacky, do you mean they were even hipsters back then? Because it is insane.
They were pre-hipster, yeah, but like it's
the bolo ties.
But they like matched each other. They're both wearing ridiculous hats. And there was lace and shit. It was like it was ridiculous. Matt, every scene, Matt was like, I feel like that's a like.
She looks like my grandmother
with Molly Ringwald at least, yeah. Like she looks. That's something my grandmother would have worn for sure.
It looks like something my grandma would wear.
Buttoned up, just enough
lace around the collar,
a little bit of a floral print.
Yeah, I hated it.
Looks like it breathes, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, no.
And then Ducky's got the fucking bolo tie, the John Lennon sunglasses, like the, I don't know, like the derby hat or
what does I was about to say, what does this movie have in common with Clueless?
Stupid fucking hats.
Stupid fucking hats.
So
here's where we need the
rap
air horn.
Stupid fucking hats.
Stupid fucking hats.
Yeah, mostly.
But yeah, like, so Ducky sucks. Ducky sucks from the fucking beginning.
Yeah, I hate him. And I actually said flat out, I was like, if this was RDJ, would this all be like charming?
Better,
charming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Better, charming, and better. Yes. 100% yes.
I agree.
So the only time I leaned to Matt, Ducky redeems himself in the last 20 minutes of the movie and only slightly, right? So in the last 20 minutes of the movie, without getting into it too deeply plot-wise, Ducky overhears Andrew McCarthy and James Spader. James Spader's been who's another rich kid trying to fucking sway Andrew McCarthy from dating Molly Ringwald.
For nefarious reasons.
For stupid reasons. But he under she's not good enough sort of reasons, at least like ostensibly. So he overhears them talking. And then Ducky's in the hall alone with James Spader, and they fight, and he fucking goes to fight James Spader because James Spader fucking is attacking at least the integrity of the woman he loves, and like they get into it and they punch each other a bunch, and like no one's like really a clear winner or anything. It gets broken up, but like in that moment, and that's legit, like there's 21 minutes left in the movie, I was like, this is the first time I liked Ducky.
That's not true. Actually, during an earlier part of the movie where Ducky dances and sings
the Otis
Redding song. Garrett was like, "Oh, this is really charming." I was like, "Oh, this is fucking painful."
So I didn't like Ducky though. I liked that scene, but I didn't like Ducky. That didn't make me like Ducky anymore. I just thought that was an amusing scene. I was like, "Oh, try a little tenderness." Yeah, get it.
His name is Philip. Was it Philip? I feel like it was Philip.
He introduced himself as Philip. Oh, yeah.
It's Philip to you, scuzzbucket.
But so we like Ducky there, and then we like Ducky at the very end because ultimately at the very end,
you can say we all you want. I didn't like Ducky ever.
I like Ducky at the very end, and again at the very end, Ducky shows up to the prom and kind of saves the day because he's all dressed up, and Molly Ringwald's there alone. Yeah, like with a gem in the middle. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
A bolo
I
time with a
noticed.
gem in the middle. And then he shows up and he kind of saves the day because Molly Ringwald is alone and she like is clearly like kind of feeling apprehensive about walking in, and she walks in with him. And then they walk in together. They see Andrew McCarthy and he's like, "Here, man, have her. You'll take care of her, right? Okay." Like it's this weird sort of like, "I'll pass her off to you." And she...
As if it fucking matters.
No,
High
but it's
school
like
is such bullshit to
but
begin
in
with.
that moment, it was like Bucky
O'Hare.
Plucky was being a good guy. in
Plucky
that
the duck.
moment. Plucky
Duck.
Too many beers. So, Ducky was a good guy in that moment. But like, I don't know.
Here's my problem with the whole thing is that like, are you made to think that Ducky is a good guy because you're supposed to think that Blake. Is it Blake? It's Blake.
Blaine. It's Blaine. I wrote that down.
Sorry.
The most ridiculous 80s names they could think of. Blaine and Ducky.
Well, I'm sorry. Are you supposed to believe that Blaine's a bad guy? Because honestly,
no.
Up until the last 15 minutes of the movie, Blaine is a completely reasonable, regular dude,
and
I'm rooting for him the entire time.
And in the last couple minutes, he's again great.
He makes one poor judgment.
Well, and he is an asshole in that moment. Like,
sure.
And it's there's some severity to that assholey behavior. You know, he's
assholishness. Just keep going.
Assholedom. How's that?
Bad.
Okay. So, I mean, it's severe though. Like, I mean, to the extent that he is an asshole, he's like a severe asshole because it's literally like his one friend being like, "We're all judging her based on this stupid and fucking arbitrary line that we drew earlier in the movie. What do you say?"
And by the one friend, you mean James Spader. And can we talk about James Spader for a second? Because
who I like normally.
He's
the worst in this movie.
He is such a douchebag in this movie. But every word out of his mouth is just gravy to me. I don't know. I just find him the most charming, malicious motherfucker on the planet.
Every time James Spader's on the screen, he is actually an asshole. Like he's actually
entirely.
He's a total piece of shit asshole. Like he's either trying to like coerce Molly Ringwald into sex in the very first scene that we see him in, or like judging everyone who talks to her because she wouldn't sleep with him. Right.
It's also just like.
But aside from that, Matt was still like, I don't know. There's still something.
No, not in like a charming. I mean, in a charming way, but like, I don't know. There's just something like. I feel like he was ad-libbing in this movie because there's the one part where they're at like the friend's party when Blaine takes her to his friend's party like on their first date or whatever, and Spader's laying in bed with one of those like the bitchy
one
girls.
Of the blonde one of the blonde girls, one of the mean girls. There's like 3 mean girls that they prop up,
and he's in bed with her. I'm sorry, and she's like bad mouthing
it.
Shut up. She's bad mouthing Molly Ringwald. And he's just like, "You're all worthless, aren't you?" Just under his breath. And I'm just like, is that what he said?
No.
What is he saying?
He actually, was it? You're all, no, he was like, I wrote it down.
Here, eat this. And he like feeds her a pea or something. It's ridiculous. I think he's the most ridiculous character. And you know what? I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to preempt what we usually do later. He's my favorite character in this movie.
What? Oh, he says, "You're all worthless, aren't you?" Yeah. Talking to like the blonde girl that he's with, meaning women.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's a ridiculous, horrifying man, but just the way he says it on his breath, "You're all worthless, aren't you?"
And like, I feel like if like when 80s audiences were watching this, they were like, "Oh, standard line." Like, not like that they agreed with it. I'm just saying, like, I'm sure there wasn't outrage, like the amount of outrage that like you and I had, like just now, like watching, we're like, did he just say you're all worthless, aren't you? Like, what the fuck just happened? And then shortly thereafter, the girl he's with calls Andrew McCarthy an F.
A hard F.
A hard F. And we're not saying fuck. We're saying, she was like, "Oh, you're just an F. Fucking, what's his name? Blaine." And we both just like, how many movies have you heard that word in?
Well, even beyond that, like the amount of like shit ass, like just the cursing that's happening, I was blown away. And then all of a sudden, I mean,
only one fuck though. Only one fuck.
Still, and here's how they get you. I mean, it makes sense because I just looked it up. PG-13. They got the one F in.
Molly Ringwald calls him a fucking asshole towards the end.
There's a lot more cursing in this movie
But
than I thought there
also
would
that
be.
same scene, like while we're talking about, like the same scene where he says, "You're all worthless,
You're all
aren't you?"
worthless,
And you're
aren't
like,
you?
okay, that's misogynistic. And then she
Yeah,
says,
but
F,
he's supposed to be.
and then she says like, "Oh, you're an F, Blaine," or whatever. And you're like, "Oh, that's homophobic. That's fucked up." And then like Molly Ringwald's retort is like, "Oh, you're such a retard, so and so," and it's like, wait, did we just triple down?
Yeah.
Did we just triple down on the offensiveness of this fucking scene?
It was a rough scene to get through. I'll tell you that much.
Oh my god, it's like that was incredible.
It was incredible.
So the movie itself draws this like stupid arbitrary line, right, between like the
rich and the poor.
the rich and the poor, right? And it's like,
I don't know. I mean, I
this is
wasn't.
a
I wasn't in
thing-
high school in the '80s. I don't know if this was a thing.
I feel like I again, I don't know if it was a thing, but I feel like it's such an arbitrary, stupid thing. Like I feel like if you were in high school, right, and you were a dude in high school,
I
and
was a dude in high school,
and there was like a girl that was like cool and smart seeming and attractive physically, and you were like into her, would you be like, oh,
but she's a poor.
You're from the poor side of town. You're a poor.
You're a poor.
Oh man, I would love to date you, but you're a poor.
You're
Like
such
what
a
the fuck? Like that's not a thing in high school.
I think. I mean, listen, not in our high school necessarily, but it could be a thing. I just feel like it's less of a thing that they made it out to be. Also, they made it seem like all like the alternative kids were all poors, every single one of them.
Right, like
Which was a weird
like-
distinction to me.
like not being wealthy meant like was the default for being like, oh okay, I listen to the Clash and also make my own clothes.
Right.
Like what the fuck is that? It was.
Speaking
it's
of
some
make my own
It's some
clothes.
silly '80s shit.
Speaking of make my own
She
clothes.
makes her own clothes a bunch of times in this movie, Matt. You're gonna have to be more specific.
Well, specifically the prom dress that she makes for herself.
Weird looking.
Well, I mean,
Weird looking.
I guess I get that she's supposed to be different.
Would you say that it's anything other than weird looking?
I'm trying to. She takes a dress that her dad gets for her.
Well, I mean, it looked
and
a
she
certain
takes
way.
and she takes a dress that Annie Potts gives her, which we'll get to Annie Potts. And she combines them together to make a dress that's really weird looking. But the dress that Annie Potts gives her is a completely like good looking dress. Like there's nothing wrong with the dress that she
I
gives
think
her.
they make a point of making it seem like it's dated, but otherwise it's like a
Well,
standard.
because Annie Potts has got the beehive while she's wearing it that one time.
Yeah, but I think it's also like, yeah, I guess, and she makes a point of being like, well, I'm like 15 years older than you guys, blah blah blah, like, which she actually was exactly 15 years older than
Love
Molly
Annie Potts.
Ringwald in this movie. Annie Potts was like 33, 34, I think, and Molly Ringwald was like 17, 18. When
There was
this
not a
movie came
single
out.
scene with Annie Potts that I wasn't enthralled. I think she's great.
I think she's great too. I think
I think she's
is super,
endearing.
I think she's super captivating. I think like the ridiculous accent that she has, which is not from New York, and I was blown
She's
away
from
by that.
Kentucky. It's Kentucky.
I think
It's Kentucky.
I think Annie Potts is great. I think she's like really like she. I'm not gonna say she stole the scenes that she was in, but like
Your eyes were drawn to her no matter what.
well, just like her presence. Her presence was like pretty huge in the scenes that she was in.
Sure.
You know, but yeah, that the dress. All right, if we're cutting to this, the dress.
What do you mean if we're cutting to this? You've been all over this movie.
Yeah, sorry. So the like a point that they make in the movie is that like, we didn't even touch upon her name. Molly Ringwald's name in this movie is Andy.
Andy Sachs.
It's not Andy Sachs.
sorry,
but
it's not Andy Sachs.
Every time they said, I don't even know what her last name is in this movie, but every time they said her name, Matt and I could not help but default to Devil Wears Prada. Andy Sachs. But so like the thing with Andy throughout the movie that they try to like hammer you over the head with is that she alters clothes and kind of makes her own clothes, and she's like kind of a quasi fringe fashion designer type. So at the end, she combines a dress that her dad bought her that is pink, and a dress that Annie Potts gave her that she wore to her prom, which is also pink, that are both totally normal dresses, and then she makes this like very odd looking dress, but it's pink, and there's the title of the movie.
She's pretty.
She's pretty.
pink.
She's pretty.
She's pretty.
She's pretty.
She's pretty in pink.
She's pretty in pink.
Also, just when the dad gives her the dress that he like gets from wherever he gets it, because it's not clear, but he goes, "Your mom always wore pink," and I was just like, "Always? That just seems aggressive." That's just like a lot of pink.
Every day?
I also did, and like Garrett said that they said it a bunch of times, but who knows because he's very drunk, that they mentioned that the mom left. I was legit under the impression that the mom had died. And then all of a sudden it was just like, she's never coming back. I was like, well, yeah, she's dead.
No, this is like a standard, this movie is probably the influence for Crossroads in that way. In that it's like, mom left because she didn't want me. Like, it was like...
And I get it.
And she's never coming back. I mean, maybe. But, like, I don't know. No, it was pretty clear from, like, I don't know, I would say a third of the way through the movie that, like the mom was there and then the mom left, like, early teen years. In those formative years.
Those very formative
and that
years.
she's not coming back, and the dad hasn't had a job since because he's so heartbroken, and that's fucked up and terrible.
Harry Dean Stanton, who was awesome in this movie.
Yeah, he was. The dad was really good.
I really liked him.
There weren't really like bad performances. Like
there was a bad performance.
There were characters I didn't like.
No, John Cryer was a bad performance.
You thought he was a bad performance?
Yeah, I thought it was bad.
I thought he did what they asked him to do. This is what it seemed like. I did not like Ducky as a character.
And what other performance from John Cryer would you note where he's given a good performance?
Oh, Superman 4.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hey, Uncle Lex.
Can't go without my drumsticks.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. John Cryer's the worst.
Yeah, I don't like him in anything. I actually this will be very unpopular because I know that this show stayed on forever because of the ratings, but 2.5 Men, I fucking hated 2.5 Men.
I don't think that's going to be very unpopular with our audience. I think a lot of people hated 2.5 Men.
Well, the 10 to 15 of you that are going to listen to this episode.
If
you love John Cryer and you have some issue with me hating John Cryer, let us know.
I have some issue with you hating John Cryer. No, I don't.
No, he's the worst.
No, he's pretty bad. Yeah, I really disliked Ducky. Anyway, I don't know. So the movie didn't really have that much depth to it. She was a poor girl from the other side of the tracks. Some guy from the quote unquote rich side of the tracks falls for her. He courts her. She's kind of mean to him, throughout a lot of the movie.
I think in the beginning she's just kind of cautious,
being defensive.
Yeah,
I guess, but she's not less mean to him later in the movie.
No, I mean they definitely hit it off later, but it's at least the last third of the movie.
That's fair.
Until you're like, oh, it's very apparent that they're into each other.
Right.
I would say it's a bizarre love triangle.
And that song wasn't in this movie, so I don't know why you're bringing it up.
That song wasn't. So New Order, Bizarre Love Triangle came out the same year as this movie, and I'm blown away that it wasn't in this fucking movie. I'm wondering if it was inspired by this movie. You're just shaking your head. Why? What? Are you all right?
Never been more mad.
Are you out of breath? Is that why you're breathing that way?
Yes. I was eating, so now I'm out of breath. No, I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily a bizarre love triangle because it's kind of they like each other and then Ducky just kind of likes her.
Well, here's a question. Do you think she likes Ducky on some level?
0%.
So I disagree. I think there are moments where it's I don't know, she could. No. It's never even remotely as apparent as her attraction to Andrew McCarthy, but I think there are moments when they're studying in her room or whatever at her house, or
they're friends.
I agree, but I feel like there are moments where it's at the very least the familiarity there might make you think yeah, who knows? Maybe I think the movie is set up in a way where it's she's choosing between the two. Although actually watching the movie, it seems like there was never a choice.
There was never a choice.
She only ever wanted Blaine. Blaine only ever wanted her. Love Andrew McCarthy, by the way.
I thought he did a great job.
Just from a performance level, really, really liked it. I don't think I've ever seen him and not liked him.
Yeah, he's earnest. He's believable.
Yeah,
I liked him. But because he was regular in the movie, he's just kind of fallen to the wayside to me. Because there's big attitude Annie Potts and like ridiculous James Spader and like stupid fucking Ducky.
Annoying as fuck, Ducky.
Yeah, so it kind of just falls to the wayside to me.
You know what we didn't talk about yet?
I don't know.
Soundtrack. Wasn't blown away by it. Was expecting so much more from like an iconic 80s movie.
Sure.
And like really like unless we just weren't recognizing songs, and Shazam did not recognize like many songs at all. There was the Otis Redding song.
Sure.
Try a Little Tenderness, right? When Ducky does that like number to it, he does like a sweet number to it.
It was a long number for sure.
It was a long number, but I like that song. It's a good song. Although it's not like a sign of the times. That's an old ass song even at this point.
Yeah. Annie Potts is singing Copacabana at one part.
Oh yeah, but again, that's not like a timely.
No,
that's not a timely song for this movie.
Sure.
And then there's the prom scene, which is like, I'm being generous here, like minimum of 8 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The only song playing the entire time at the prom is "If You Leave, La Won't La Boom Brum 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 Brum." Are those the words?
No.
Are those not the words?
Yes.
Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark.
Well, what did you call them to begin with?
Maneuvres.
Maneuvres. Orchestral maneuvres in the dark. What is that? Maneuvers? Oh, okay.
But I mean, I know that song. I never knew that was the band for that song.
Orchestral maneuvers.
But I've heard that song a million times.
Sure.
That's like a really iconic 80s song.
Yeah.
But I think they spliced it so that it didn't sound like it was playing 7 times on repeat, but it clearly had to have played 7 times on repeat for the amount of time that it's like they're having like deep conversations, and in the background it's just blah, blue, 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 blah, blah. Why aren't you stopping me?
I'm just going to let you do this until you run out of breath.
I won't.
Or fall asleep.
And
then I can do the podcast I really wanted to do.
Matt, a musical in 3 acts.
A one-man show.
Matthew.
Period. A one-man show.
A musical in 3 acts. Fuck, that's so funny. So soundtrack didn't blow me away.
It was fine.
Wait.
There was a lot of just like 80s synth.
Yeah, but I also like I didn't know enough to know whether or not they were like those
actual songs.
Those were 80s songs, sure. Or if it was like While You Were Sleeping status, where it was just like well,
that was the 90s jazz.
It might have been the same shit.
Not the 80s synth, but the 90s jazz.
So this is important. Who won the bet, Matt?
You won the bet.
I won the bet.
There was some. I hate this episode. I've already hated this episode.
So there was some what?
No, there was some confusion about that. Some way into the movie.
We looked it up though.
Yeah, we did look it up. Because at one point she's talking about Blaine, and she's talking to her dad, and she's like, "He's a senior," and it just made it sound like she wasn't a senior.
That did confuse me, but James Spader early in the movie is like, "Only a couple months to graduation."
Only a couple. I just keep thinking of Robert California for him, the part that he plays on The Office, where he's just like this kind of eccentric like boss. Who are you coming after? I'm the goddamn Lizard King. Oh God, it's so good.
Yes, I mean he says a couple, and then we looked it up, and it was like,
she's a senior in high school.
Yeah, we looked it up, and it says she's a senior. In high school.
So you won the bet.
Hopefully
you'll pick something a little more enjoyable than this one.
I like this movie. I thought this movie was like a good high school movie.
Yeah, let's see what other people thought.
What were the reviews?
So the Rotten Tomatoes score for
Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes for the critics score was 78%, which is not bad. It's pretty good especially for an 80s movie. And the audience score was 81%, which is not far off. So I actually think that's pretty on point from what I would imagine.
What was the critics? One more time.
Critics was 78. Audience was 81.
Yeah, I buy that. I
buy that.
Honestly, that's probably where I'd put it. I'd probably give this movie an 80. I know you liked it less, but like
C. A standard C.
Somewhere in the 70s.
Like a 75.
Okay. I mean, we're not that far off from each other though. Like I think I just dug a little bit more. You know what I wrote? So there are a lot of instances where like, oh, this is one thing. So Ducky being like a really annoying asshole.
He calls her like
14
times.
He calls her like 5 times in the course of an hour and leaves messages every time. It's like 601, 605, 615,
625,
631. Like it's I was sitting there like, oh, why would she talk to this person, right?
Yeah.
And then there are a bunch of scenes where like she doesn't answer the phone where Andrew McCarthy's calling, and then like Andrew McCarthy doesn't answer the phone when she's calling. And I wrote down like landlines make things so much more dramatic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like scenes where someone is just like laying in their bed, like watching the phone, like the landline phone ring and not answering. Also not knowing who it is, but like just like not answering it anyway because it might be that person. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't caller ID at this point or anything. Like they're sitting there like, well, if she's calling, I don't want it to be her, so I don't want to answer if it's her. You know what I mean? And that makes it like more dramatic.
Sure.
You know?
I don't disagree.
I thought that was actually kind of cool, and I think that's like one of the things about this movie, even though it's like such an old fucking movie and such a dated movie, that make it like that much more dramatic. But also, I'm wondering if like, let's say you're 16, 17, 18 now, right? And you're watching this movie and like, that's who it's aimed at, right? Like, it's supposed to tackle that angst, that high school angst shit, right? If you're in high school now and you're watching it, like, is it so dated that you're like, this is dumb, that is dumb.
So dumb.
I don't know. I can't give you an answer to that question.
Well, there is that one scene in the library where she's on the computer, which I was blown away that first of all there were computers in the library in 1986.
Yeah, I was blown away by this too.
But also that she's like doing some very basic word processing, which, you know, whatever, it's the 80s. But all of a sudden, like, as if it was AOL, it was just like, bloom, and someone's like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, this wasn't a thing. I know for a fact this was not a thing.
Someone is messaging her like, I am, like Google chat or some shit,
G-chat.
right? Like, hey, it's me. You want to talk? And she thinks, also just plot wise, she thinks it's Ducky.
Right. No, Ducky, shut the fuck up.
No, it's Blaine. It's dreamy Blaine.
And he sends her a picture
of her,
which,
and then
which
of
I mean,
him.
first of all, creepy, but
also impossible.
Impossible
I'm
at the
positive
time.
This is impossible for a library computer at a high school to perform.
Right.
In
Ridiculous.
1986. I think
Ridiculous.
it's absolutely ridiculous. But I do think like sign of the time shit like that.
Yeah.
Was kind of makes it more like, I don't know, more dramatic. Like, so, all right. So we kind of touched upon it, right? Like sign of the time shit, like the computers, they're really old and they do unbelievable things. Every phone is a landline.
Sure, all the cars are boxy and like
old boxy
cars.
She works at a record store selling actual records, and I know now we call like music stores. Some people will be like, "Oh, I'm going to go to the record store." Like that's still a thing that is said sometimes.
Sure, but
this was an actual, a literal record store.
Sure, it was called. What was it called?
Tracks with an X.
With an X. Nice.
I didn't get the name of the club she went to with Cats.
Yeah. Who?
CATS.
With Andrew Dice Clay as the bouncer.
Yeah, that was his appearance.
And I'm pretty sure he's playing Andrew Dice Clay because Ducky calls him Dice Man.
Or Dicey.
Dicey,
but he's like, Dice Man over here doesn't know what's up.
Yeah,
Like,
weird.
oh, okay.
He looks good for his age.
Ducky or
No,
Andrew
Dice.
Dice Clay?
The Dice Man.
Does he?
I mean, he looks okay.
Have you seen Andrew Dice Clay? Like recently?
I saw him in Entourage.
That was like a decade ago.
It was so long ago. He might be dead for all I know.
That seems like it was not long ago. However, Adrian Grenier has aged like a decade since that show was on.
He still probably looks just as dreamy with those baby blues.
How's his acting though?
Terrible.
Very bad. It's very
Can we
bad.
watch Drive Me Crazy next?
I mean, you won the bet. So
you won the bet.
I won the bet. So no.
Oh. Wah, wah.
Oh, so it turns out no. Should this movie have died?
Yes.
You think so?
No, I'm just being...
I'm being adversarial.
I'm being adversarial. It's fine. It's a totally fine 80s movie. I just like... When you stack it up against the likes of like Ferris Bueller or The Goonies, it just does nothing for me. I know they're completely different movies.
I agree. I think had I seen this in high school, though, I might have had a different opinion of the movie. I don't think it was bad, but I think I would have had like way more of a connection with it had I seen it at a younger age.
Sure.
I don't think it should have died. I understand that I understand why it has its place in like the
zeitgeist.
No, yeah, I mean, I guess so, but I was gonna say in the teenage movie rom-com, or not even rom, but like just kind of the chick flick fucking genre. I see why it has its place there, like why it's iconic in that sense, right?
Sure.
But I mean, like, would you recommend people to watch it?
Honestly, not really, and it's not because like it's one of those movies where I didn't like it that much. It's just because I don't know. It just fell flat to me. Everything was at the end. I was just like, oh, it's over. Okay.
Right, and at the end, I actually liked the end because she just goes out to the parking lot and kisses Blaine. Sorry,
like a couple
Andrew
of
McCarthy.
seals fighting for a grape.
She goes out to the parking lot. They just kiss, and then that's the end of the movie. I actually liked that.
Sure.
Like, it wasn't like, and then they got married.
I mean, we don't really know because the copy we were watching kind of just crashed right after that.
But I don't give a shit what happens after that. Like, that was the resolution of, like, her choosing between these two people or whatever, and them getting past their own individual bullshit. And that's it. Like, if they broke up the next day, I don't care.
Right.
And that's why
they probably did because, again, it's high school and nothing matters.
But I did like, I liked that. I liked the end of it. I don't think it should have died. I would recommend it to people who were like looking for like, I don't know, like an 80s movie. Like not even not even something in this genre. Like specifically like, hey, looking for a cool 80s movie. Haven't seen Pretty in Pink. Oh, you should watch Pretty in Pink.
Oh, I'm the exact opposite. If someone was like, should I watch Pretty in Pink? I'd be like, I mean, you can, but probably not worth it. All right, Garrett. So...
Did you have a favorite character, real quick?
Yeah, Spader. And then Spader on top, followed by Annie Potts.
What?
Yeah, Spader's a douchebag, but he plays a douchebag so fucking well.
So I have to say Annie Potts is my favorite character. She's super interesting.
Yeah.
She's funny the whole time. And she's kind of out there. She, like, supports this thing. Like her existence is, like... It's kind of the backbone to the movie in a lot of ways because it's like, yeah, but like after this, it doesn't fucking matter and you could be whatever. Because her existence is clearly like very out there, avant-garde.
Which is even funnier because at the end of the movie, she ends after like coaching, what's her name?
She's wearing a blazer and pearls.
No, just because like the guy that she goes out with at the end of the movie is like a very straight-laced, regular like 80s guy. And she's just like, I know, but like I like him.
Right, and I think that's like kind of like so the whole time she's been the one message of like be yourself no matter what, and at the end she's like, but like if you need to make a concession, like go ahead.
It's probably okay because
like,
not everyone's like they are in high school all the time.
Right, exactly. So I think Annie Potts is my favorite. I think Andy's dad. Again, what's his name?
He's pretty good. Henry Dean Stanton.
Yeah, I think he's honestly my second favorite because I think he's in some of the better scenes in the movie.
Sure. Well, he's in some of the more emotional scenes in the movie for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean,
There was that 1 second where I thought he was going to hit his daughter, and I was like, oh no!
He grabs her by the shoulders pretty hard, and I was like, please don't do this.
Don't do this.
We have to cancel this episode if this happens. If so. Ipso facto.
Mm-hmm. Vis-a-vis.
Vis-a-vis.
Concordantly.
Do you think this movie belongs in this genre? It like is this genre, right?
I think it's what made the genre.
It's like one of the movies that like shaped the genre. I 100% agree. I just wanted to see if you were on the same page.
Yeah.
Where would you rank this in your list? And you know, maybe we'll make this one of the last times that we do the full list, but this is episode 15. So out of 15,
you know, because that's a big deal.
Where would you rank it and list your whole list?
Okay. I'm going to put it between Enchanted and She's the Man. So.
What number would that make it?
That would make it number 10.
All right. So hit me with your list. 1 to 15, just for this time.
For this time only. Number 1 is Devil Wears Prada. Number 2 is Pretty Woman. Number 3 is The Other Woman. Number 4 is While You Were Sleeping. Number 5 is Spice World. Number 6 is Clueless. Number 7 is 13 Going on 30. Number 8 is Legally Blonde. Number 9 is Enchanted. Number 10 would be Pretty in Pink. Number 11 is She's the Man. Number 12 is Crossroads. Number 13 is What Women Want. Number 14 is Blue Crush. And number 15 is Made in Manhattan. What about you, Garrett?
So this would be a tight tie for me with 13 going on 30, I think. But I'm going to put it after 13 going on 30 just because I saw 13 going on 30, I think, like, in my teens. And then, like, I don't know, I feel like I relate to it more. Which would make... So I think this is now my number 8, which means While You Were Sleeping, number 1, Sandy Bully. Love it. Number 2, Devil Wears Prada. Number 3, Pretty Woman. Number 4, Legally Blonde. Number 5, Clueless. Number 6, The Other Woman. Number 7, 13 going on 30. Now this, Pretty in Pink, as number 8. Enchanted as number 9. She's the Man as number 10. Spice World as 11. Crosswords as 12. Blue Crush as 13, What Women Want as 14, and Made in Manhattan will always be my last fucking movie as 15. But yeah, I think this is like kind of right in the middle of my list. I think it's like seminal enough. It makes you, I don't know, it made me feel feelings. It really did.
It made me feel nothing.
It made me feel here's the thing. I liked the movie a lot, but I was so distracted by how annoyed I was by Ducky.
Every time he was on the screen, I just got mad. Mad, like actually mad.
And I almost wish you hadn't read that bit of trivia beforehand, because the whole time I was like, but if this was Robert Downey Jr.,
I'm in.
This movie is number 2 on my list.
Oh, I actually completely agree. If Robert Downey Jr. is Ducky, this movie's at least top 5. At least.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, God.
Any of his like weird idiosyncrasies would be so much more charming.
Right. No, 100%. Like the bolo ties and everything, I would have been way cooler with it if it was Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
And I think you would have bought like the potential romance between the two of them way more if it was Robert Downey Jr. God damn. I don't know. You got anything else for this movie?
Nothing but contempt.
Oh, no.
Wow.
All right. Well, I'm glad that we were able to get through something that's like kind of, it's considered an iconic one and it's kind of up there on the list.
It's not like we haven't done some iconic ones.
No, I know, but this might be one of the older, iconons.
Iconons. I hate me.
You done?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I'm glad that we were able to do this is like one of the first bigger iconic. Because I like in the canon of these movies, right? I think of this kind of in the same light that I think of Dirty Dancing, and I think that's got to be like a little bit further down the list, obviously.
Sure, of course.
But like, and to be fair, I think of Dirty Dancing as like more like having more gravity than this movie.
Oh man. I remember Dirty Dancing being like a big deal.
Right. I don't remember this being the same big deal, but in terms of the genre, right? Sure. I consider them kind of in the same class.
Yeah, I mean, the two of those. The first one we ever did, Pretty Woman, is very like in the same class to me.
Sleepless in Seattle.
Sure, of course.
Fucking, I don't know. We'll get to all of them, but.
We'll get to all of them.
So, I mean, I think that's it. Do you have anything else, man?
No, I'm good. Why don't you wrap it up, Garrett?
All right. So, if you want to contact us, follow us, whatever, at DrunkGuysonChickFlicks on Instagram, at DGOCF on Twitter, DrunkGuysonChickFlicks@gmail.com. Fuck Facebook. Fuck you, Facebook. Fuck Facebook. Fuck everything about Facebook. But there is a Facebook, I guess, if you looked for us on Facebook. Also, Matt's home address is
14 Evergreen Terrace, Seattle, New York.
Is that the Simmons
Seattle,
address?
New York?
Like
Did I say? Yeah.
Anyway.
But what's Seattle, New York? What happened there? I don't know. I blacked out.
Did your brain just misfire? Did you have a stroke?
A little bit.
So anyway, if you've listened this far, we really appreciate listening this far into the episode.
Yeah, we really appreciate all the listens that we get. We appreciate any likes, subscribes.
If you've listened this far into 15 episodes, especially, thank you so much. This is fucking cool. This is really fun for us. If there's anything you want to hear us do, let us know. If there's anything you want to hear us do less of, let us know. Tell a friend, fucking whatever it is. But otherwise, hit us up at, the shit we said earlier, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.